Right, I'm delighted to be joined by Muay Thai legend Liam Harrison. You've got a fantastic fight coming up. I want to talk all about it, but first, I want to go through your journey right from the start. 14 years of age, making your debut against a guy who turned out to be a lot older. You saw him driving off in his Golf GTI. So tell me a little bit about that tale.
Yeah, mate. So I'd had a couple of amateur like junior style fights when I was 13 when I first started, and I hated wearing all the pads. Although I'm quite small, I'm only like 5'7". I was 5'7" from being 13 years old. I've been the same height, and I was quite thick built. So I could get away with saying I was like 16 when I was like 13, 14. Honestly, I could go out in town drinking when I was 14-year-old, mate. I had a bit of trouble. I used to go out in town drinking when I was 14. No one questioned anything. And I used to fucking just run riot and do what I wanted, to be fair. So I said to Richard after my first junior fight, I just said, mate, I don't want to do that again. I said, please don't make me put all them pads on. I felt like, you know, when like you see your turtle over and put it on its back. There were a point in one of the fights where I got push kicked and knocked down, and I had all this padding on, and I couldn't fucking get up, and I was just like this on the floor. And I just said, "Oh man, please don't make me do that again." And he said, "Well, okay, I'll listen. I'll keep my ear to the ground. If there's anything comes up for anyone around 16, we'll just lie. Say you're 16 and you can do it." I'm like, "Yeah, buzzing." So he said, "Oh, I've got this kid here. He's 16. I think he's had 2 fights. So yeah, do you want to have your first pro fight? No shin pads. Right, let's go. Let's do it. 100%. I'm in." And then we went to weigh in the day before, and I weighed in. I think this was 1 week before my 15th birthday, so I was just like, I'm 14, but nearly 15. And I've watched him get off the scales, walk outside, get his car keys out, jump in his Golf, and drive off. And I'm like, how fucking old is this guy? He turned out he was 19, but it didn't really matter. I knocked him out in the first round.
Congratulations. That's obviously a fantastic story to get a victory over somebody who was so much older than you. Showed a lot of expertise within your sport, which you began to apply. You started getting better and better. By the time you're 15, you're working towards a career in this. I know there was an encounter with an English teacher who told you weren't going to achieve in Muay Thai. How big an instrumental factor was that in you pursuing that dream?
Do you know what? I think that just it didn't. I think that's always been in the back of my mind somewhere. That, and I never ever let go of it. I don't even know if that teacher's still alive now, but for years I hope he's can see what I've meant for myself and stuff like that. And yeah, I would need to say thank you to him for the motivation for that, you know, because that's I'll never forget it. I remember it like it was yesterday. What you going to do with your life? Do you think you're going to be a pro fighter? Because I'll tell you now, that won't happen. I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, all right, okay, but yeah, that were all the motivation I needed, I guess. And yeah, like I say, I still remember it very clearly now. I can't remember what I had for dinner 20 minutes ago, but I can remember that like it was yesterday. Everything about it. So yeah, it's clearly stuck with me, and it's clearly give me a bit of motivation, bit of discipline to push on, and prove people wrong. Yeah, so I hope watching, if he's still knocking around. I hope he's watching this weekend when I'm on live on Sky Sports, getting my hand raised, and yes, we'll see.
And obviously, you started beating all the fighters out in England, but to prove yourself at the next level, you needed to go out to Thailand. I think you headed out there for a 3 month period at first, and then you basically took over Thailand. You started becoming one of the best fighters in the world. What are your most mental memories for your time in Thailand, whether that be training, fight night, anything that happened outside of the gym? What are your favorite memories of Thailand?
I've got all sorts, mate. There were just crazy shit happening to either me or some of the other fighters every single day in Thailand. There's always something mental happening. And these were all before the days of social media. And if I could have put some of these stories out on social media as they were happening, I'm telling you now, I'd have about 100 million followers because the stories and what went down was absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like anyone who has spent any a long period of time in Thailand a while back before one championship, before like the stadiums changed up a little bit and stuff. They will all have like if you speak to there's a fighter called John Wayne Parr, he's got loads of crazy stories when he were out there. Anyone who spent any length of time there will have anything like wild and don't have it so much now because it's not like it was just like the Wild West when I was fighting there. There was just madness going on all the time. Now there's big organizations like One Championship. There's big shows on the stadium. It's all televised. Everyone sees it. When I was fighting out there in Thailand, there were no social media. There were no Instagram. I think YouTube might have just. No, I don't think YouTube were just coming around. But we were doing all this for hardly any money. There were no like big bonus checks like one championship give you. We just did this for love, which is why I think I've been able to do it for so long. Like I've never been driven by money or anything like that. It's always just been love, and I've loved. It's good that I've got all these crazy stories to tell. Like there was a time when I used to bet on myself, and I've told this story a few times. I used to bet on myself all the time to try and bump my money up because I wasn't getting paid that much money, and I didn't want to go home. And there was a fight where I bet all my entire purse on myself, and I bet all the money I had, and I lost on points in a close fight. I had no money, I had no what to do, and I was banged up. And it would either go back home with my tail between my legs, or and my coach said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I need to fight again." And he went, "I know, I've already booked you one in 3 days' time." So I had to fight, and then 3 days later, I had to fight again. Luckily, I knocked the guy out in the fight after I'd lost, and I got some money back and pay my rent, and I could stay a bit longer. But yeah, there was just craziness going on like that all the time. I ended up fighting pro boxing rules. Yeah, I was fighting like twice in a week, and it was just crazy. It was great. I got a lot of life experience and life stories from those times.
And I think possibly my favourite story of your entire career is your first World Championship win out in Italy. I think the guy missed weight by quite a massive margin.
Yeah.
And then you booted him in the arse during the fight. The crowd went mental. Bottles were coming in. Can you tell that story?
Yeah. So this is even. I don't even know how on earth anyone got away with doing this. So I turned up to the weigh-in. The fight was at lightweight, so I had to be 61.3. I only took it on late notice. I took it on like 2.5 weeks notice. It was just like my coach. I think I'd won quite a few fights in a row. I was unbeaten still, I think. And then my coach just sort of went, right, there's a world title opportunity here. Italy, do you want to go? Let's go. I killed myself to get my weight down because it was December time, I think. And I'd sort of gone off the boil because I thought there's no more fights in December. I've had a lot of fights this year. I'll come back strong next year. So it was Christmas and all the rest of it. I was eating, drinking. And then I had to whip myself to I think I had to lose about 7 or 8 kilos in the 2 weeks, get my weight down. So I turned up. I flew to Italy in the sweatsuit, got there, took the sweatsuit off, all the TV cameras and everything were there because it was a big deal at the time. Got on a scale, 61.3, perfect. Professional, perfect, med the weight. Where's my opponent? They went, oh no, he's late, he's coming later. I was like, bit suspect. But anyway, I went away, I had steak, pasta, had about 4 or 5 litres of water, got all the water back in me. I would have probably put on 5 or 6 kilograms. I came back to watch him weigh in when he came, all the TVs there on him. And then the scales have gone from digital scales that I got on to them bathroom scales that were like that. And I said, where are the scales I got on? And they went, oh, you broke them. I said, what? I said, oh, you broke them when you got on them, so they're broke now. So we got on the scales, and they were like 64 kilos. And I thought, hang on a minute. I thought, he's the world title. He's 3 kilo over. I said, go get him in sauna or something. I said, I'm not having this. And my coach were kicking off. And then they said, no, he can't do it because it'll look really bad for TV. We've had to just pay because it's on TV that he made weight. I said, I don't give a fuck if it's on TV. I said, look at the size of him. I said, go get him in that sauna. So we're all kicking up with us, and they're like making excuses. And they went, okay, why don't you get back on the scales? So I got back on the scales, and I were only 64 kilos. And I thought, hang on a minute, I've had about 4 or 5 litres of water, and that's 4 kilos straight away, plus a 3-course meal. Plus, I didn't really know anything about nutrition, so I'd had a fucking kilogram bar of fruit and nut chocolate as well, which I shouldn't have done. I should have been 67, 68 kilos. I got on the scales, I was 64. I thought, so this guy is weighing in at 67, 68 kilos, which is what I am now. I've had to do it, get myself down to weight. And by the end of them arguing and kicking up a fuss, and I said, you know what, fuck it. I said, I don't care. I said, I'm just going to mash him down tomorrow. And I was a bit young and arrogant at that time. And I didn't really think about the consequences of what was going to happen when someone that heavy punched me in the face. In the first round, he were a really heavy puncher. He'd had a lot of knockouts. And I remember he hit me in the first round, and I went down and sat down in the corner, and I went to my coach. I went, fucking hell. And Richie went, right, hands up, just smash his leg to pieces every time he plants himself to punch, because that's all he's going to do. And that's all they did do, and that's all I did. And I stopped him in round 4 with leg kicks. And like I said, the referee should, when someone says no more, the referee should jump in, wave it off. So I kicked him right across his leg for the final time. he's looked at me and gone, no more, and started turning around. So I looked at the ref. The ref looked at me and just went, I went, all right, fuck this. So I just ran across the ring, just booted him as hard as I could, right up his ass. And then the ref started kicking off. I was like, well, you should have stepped in. I said, I didn't know who was stopping fighting. I said, protect yourself all the time. What's he doing? And the crowd are booing and throwing bottles. And my mum and dad are on front row like that. They're thinking, fucking hell, pretend we're Italian. They're on front row getting bottles thrown and everything. And I went to the ref, I went, raise my hand. And then if I won, and he went, no, disqualified. I said, fuck off. And then all the other judges had to come around, and then they had a little discussion, and they raised my hand afterwards. But yeah, a bit of a crazy one.
Yeah, you've had some mental fights. I mean, the people you've been in the ring with, Sanchez, for example, and there's a bout in particular where you don't look like you can breathe anymore. He's cut to ribbons. You love being in the fight, don't you?
Yeah, that were the second time we fought that one. I like to fight. I like to keep it entertaining for the fans, and I like to enjoy myself when I'm fighting. And I enjoy, like you just said, being in the fire. That's I think when I perform at my best, you know what, that win, lose or draw, it don't matter as long as you've fought hard and you fought your heart out and you know you've given it all and everyone's entertained and everyone stood up giving you a round of applause at the end of it. I'm happy.
I can imagine, because when you look at your fight with Muay Thai, many a fighter would have given up after going down to ice. You rose like a phoenix from the ashes, managed to put together an incredible comeback performance. You won 100,000 quid as well. I'm wondering, what did you spend it on? Because I know you said it was going to go on your fiance, but did you buy anything special with that? And just talk to me about that fight in general, because in your career, that must be a moment that stands out.
Yeah, that were of course that's one up there. We were one of the best. We won fight of the year. We got a big bonus. All it just happened in the first round as well. And that's just a reason why in any walk of life you never give up. You always persevere, no matter how hard it gets. I always say, no matter how hard life does get, like if you just persevere and you keep pushing, that's when usually a little bit of magic happens. And it happened in that fight, and we produced something really special for the fans. And yeah, and I got a nice bonus check that went towards a new house. So yeah, can't complain with that.
Absolutely. And a fight I think that everybody wants to see now, especially on the British circuit, is you and Jonathan Haggerty. I know that One Championship are aiming towards that. Is that something you want? And for your career in Muay Thai, you've been such a pioneer in growing this sport. Does your career deserve a massive fight like that, where the British fans come and gave you credit for everything you've given to the sport?
I'm not too bothered about it, to be honest. I mean, I'd love to fight in England. I don't really mind who it's against. There's a lot of cogs in place here. So can Haggerty keep hold of the belt? How's it going to be with my next two fights coming back and stuff like that? And so I'm just going to get my next two fights out of the way because that's all I'm focused on. I've got 100% tunnel vision on this one of the weekend. Get that out of the way. They've got 100% tunnel vision on Sexan. Then I'm going to weigh everything up, see where we're at, and then we'll go from there.
Fantastic stuff. I mean, this fight on Friday is a big one. He's not coming to roll over. You've had over 100 fights now. What do you think this guy's going to bring to the table?
I've watched him. He's going to be wanting to make a name for himself off of me. It's my job to stop that happening. Do you know what I mean? I'm hungrier than I've ever been. I'm so excited to get back in there. He's going to be in for a torrid night. I'm telling you, mate. I'm not going in there to mess around. I'm not going in there to play games. I'm going in there to obliterate him. I'm going to put a clinic on. I'm going to hurt him, and then I'm going to knock him out, and then I'm going to show everyone what they've been missing while I've been away.
Fantastic stuff. And your career has taken you around the globe. You've developed a huge amount of fame. You even appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast. I believe you've held pads for him. What's his power like?
Disgraceful. He's strong as fuck. Yeah, he is. He's built like a little silverback gorilla, mate. He's so strong. He's so jacked. Yeah, nearly blew my arms off.
Thank you, Liam, for talking to me. I really appreciate it. There's some mental stories in there, from your first memories in Thailand to fighting in Italy. That one, I think, will live with me for a very long time. I wish you all the luck in the world for your fight on Friday. But before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about or mention?
No, that's about it, mate. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the coverage. And see you soon, mate.